Hello.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yep. Hi. Here.
Can you turn your camera on, sir?
Here's a now. Okay. There we go. There we go.
All right, sir, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
All right.
All right, and good afternoon, Mr. Connelly.
Good afternoon.
And would you please state your full name for the record?
Malcolm Connelly.
And Mr. Connelly, where are you testifying from at the moment?
From home, Essex, UK.
And where do you live?
I live in Essex, UK.
Mr. Connelly, what is your occupation?
At present, close protection operative. I've had a couple of professions. I'm a bricklayer to trade. I was in the corrections facility, Pentonville, HMS prison. But right now, yeah, I'm a protection operative.
Okay, and can you tell us a little bit, just generally, what that means?
It means looking after the personal well-being, physical well-being of any client you're detailed to.
And how long have you been in the personal security business?
25 years.
Over the course of those 25 years, have you had any other kinds of jobs?
Yeah, as I said, I was a corrections officer for Her Majesty's Prison.
Okay. Are you familiar with the plaintiff in this case, Johnny Depp?
I am, yes.
And how do you know Mr. Depp?
I know Mr. Depp maybe about 23 years ago, 24 years ago. I worked for a company called Music and Arts. The guy who owned that company was Jerry Judge. Jerry started working with Johnny way back in the early days, and I was detailed with looking after Johnny's ex, Vanessa Paradis, and Jack and Lily Rose, Johnny's kids. And my job was just to make sure they were safe when Johnny was at work. So that job, after about a year and a half, 2 years, Johnny asked me to go with him directly, and we'll find someone else to do the kids and that. And that's how I came across Johnny. That's how I personally met Johnny Depp.
Can you ballpark for us about what year that was?
Oh, 2006.
Okay. And can you generally just tell us a little bit about what you do for Mr. Depp as his security guard?
I will escort Johnny to everyday public places. Make sure he's okay. Make sure he's not in any danger. First of all, do the recce. You go along first. There's usually a two-man team. It's a two-man detail. You go along, do your recce, make sure all the ins and outs are sorted. No compromises. Any risks involved, do a risk assessment. We do the job. I look after him. Basically, I look after Johnny whenever we're in public domain. Whenever we're going to be in a public domain, I will look after Johnny.
Okay. And how about the defendant in this case, Amber Heard? Are you familiar with Miss Heard?
I am familiar with Miss Heard. Yeah, I first met Miss Heard in probably 2000, and I don't recall the actual date. Probably about 2010, maybe around there. She came into the UK to do a promotional job for a movie called Drive Angry. My boss, Jerry Judge, asked me to take the detail. Went and met Amber, started the job. Amber was with her ex, Tasha, and I looked after Amber for a week. Pleasant week, it was fine, great.
Does anything stand?
Sorry, yeah. After that week, I never seen Amber again until we did the Rum Diaries, the premiere after show of the Rum Diaries.
Okay, so let's move to the Rum Diary then. When did you see Miss Heard? Well, how did you see Miss Heard in connection with the Rum Diary?
We done the Rum Diary premiere. We went to the after show party. I'm busy working, doing my job, myself and Jerry Judge. Seen Amber across the floor. Amber seen me. Just basically come across the floor, said hello, how are you doing? You know, the usual chit chat. We chit chatted for a minute or two. Johnny asked me how I actually knew Amber. Explained. That's the last I spoke to Amber that night. I was too busy with Johnny. I was doing my job, you know.
Did you know at the time, and well, let's back up for a second. Where was that premiere?
Do you know what? I don't recall. I think it was in LA.
Okay.
I don't actually recall.
Okay. Did you know at the time of that premiere in probably LA, but possibly somewhere else, did you know at the time that Mr. Depp and Miss Heard were seeing each other romantically?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I mean, I surmised that there was a spark there, you know. It wasn't until maybe a few days later, a few nights later, we were at a dinner party somewhere, a promotional thing, and Amber and Johnny were basically, you know, sparking up. They were getting together. Then I sort of assumed that, you know, there was a romance happening there, budding there, you know.
Okay. Over the course of Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's relationship with each other, about how often would you say you saw them together?
Well, in the beginning, actually not a lot, you know, not a lot. Maybe once a week, twice a week at a push. But then it started, it started maturing into something, into a relationship. So more often as the time went on, you know.
And as time went on, did you have an opportunity to observe how Mr. Depp and Miss Heard interacted with each other?
At the beginning, you know, lovey-dovey, everything was great. The honeymoon period was on, and it was, it was good. I mean, it was great to see Johnny happy again. Amber was, you know, lovely, charming, as she usually is, you know, good as gold. And then things started to change. Amber started to change. Amber started getting a bit, I would say, a bit more feisty, demanding, you know. I could see that Amber wanted to wear the pants in this relationship. That was pretty obvious.
And what in particular made you think that you observed personally?
Just the way, you know, if something wasn't quite right, or Amber could get a bit frosty at the drop of a hat. So as time went on, you know, I could see them change. I could see Amber change. I could see Johnny getting quieter. You get into the car and nobody was speaking, and you know, it just, things started changing. Amber started getting a bit more grumpy, shall we say.
How did she get along with you?
Absolutely fine. Amber was fine with me. Amber was never anything but professional, polite with me. You know, she was. No, Amber was fine with me.
Did you ever see or hear any arguments between Mr. Depp and Miss Heard?
When you say see, I heard. I mean, I could hear at times in certain accommodations we'd be staying at. I could hear Amber, screaming, you know. I could hear shouting and bawling, and I could hear it going on, But I mean, I wasn't there every single night. When we're working in the UK, there's nights maybe I'd get home because Jerry would be there. But I did hear, definitely for a fact. I could hear sometimes the shouting and bawling, you know. It's mostly I could hear Amber screaming, you know.
About how, I recognize this was years ago, but can you estimate for us how regularly that happened?
I can't say regularly. I can't say it was like every day, but you know, it got more regular. It got more often than not.
Did you ever witness any physical violence between the two of them?
No, no, never. I'd never seen any physical violence. It's not a thing. It's not a thing people would do in front of security. It's not a thing that would happen in front of myself or Jerry Judge or Sean Bett or something. It just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. No, I never seen any physical security. I never seen any hands-on. No.
Okay, what do you mean you never saw any hands-on?
Well, I never seen any slapping or grabbing or punching or hitting. I've never seen any of that physically. Well, I'll tell you what. There was an instance, maybe two incidents that come to my mind. One incident was on a private plane. I can't recall if it was a domestic flight or an international flight. I'm sitting, Johnny and Amber, or Johnny, whoever he's flying with, will sit up at the foretable. There's a foretable up aft, and myself and my colleagues will sit down the forward end of the plane. So I usually look up the fuselage that way, with my back to the nose. Amber had her back to me, Johnny sitting across the table, and there's a bit of bickering going on. I can't hear because, you know, you're talking about jet craft. I can't actually hear, and it's more animated than verbal. And I see a lighter, a plastic lighter, bounce off his chest. Boom, bounce off his chest. So right away I think, well, this is going to escalate, or it's either going to go one way or the other. I don't think it came to much. I remember Johnny just sort of, you know, smirking and looking away as if to say, you know, well, what is that? It kind of attitude, you know. Then Johnny tips his hat, puts his head against the window, and whoa, I'm out, you know. Another time, I was at the loft apartment. I was in the security room in the loft apartments with a security guard called. Do you know what? I can't recall if it was Sean Bett or a guy called Donovan. Anyway, I got the text. I was down there to pick him up to go to the West Hollywood accommodation, and I got the text.
Objection
No.
to the extent he's going to talk about what the text is. That's hearsay.
You can just tell us what you observed without looking at without recounting the contents of the text.
Okay. I'm instructed to go and get Johnny, and because we're leaving.
Objection. He just said what he was instructed to do. That was
All right, I'll sustain the objection if you can.
What did you do after you received the text?
I go to the loft apartment. The door's ajar slightly, just a what we call a crack in the door. Push the door open, and I go in. Shouting, there's a bit of shouting going on. I can't hear. I'm in the wrong area of the apartment. But as I turn to the left into the more of the lounge area, there's a soda can. Like I don't know if it's a Coca-Cola or a Sprite, or I don't know what it was. But it's launched from the mezzanine, and Johnny's had this huge TV, the biggest TV I've ever seen. In fact, but this, and it's on this mechanical arm, which is an actual piece of artwork that Johnny had got commissioned. And anyway, this big mechanical arm holds this TV. So this can of pop, you're going to call it pop, smashes on that, but by force, let me add, because it made a bang, boom. And all I can hear is it spraying all over the place. Johnny has already got his jacket on and a bag over his shoulder. That's why he's called me in, because we're leaving. I just pick up the other bags, pick up the 2 bags, put my hand through Johnny's arm and say, right, boss, we're leaving. We walk out the door. And we go. Halfway to the West Hollywood, Johnny's already calmed down, you know, he's like, oh, man, can you...
Objection to the extent he's talking about what Mr. Depp is saying.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Continue.
If you have, I think we can move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Next question.
Just to clarify, Mr. Connelly, when the soda can was launched from the mezzanine, where was Mr. Depp in relation to where the soda can landed?
Probably 10 feet, maybe 10 feet back from that. 10 feet back from that.
Okay, and just to make sure we're on the same page, when you refer to the loft apartments, what are you referring to?
The downtown LA Eastern Building.
Okay. What was your, did you form any understanding as to where, as to who had thrown the soda can?
Objection, speculation.
Okay, hold on, sir.
Speculation, foundation.
I'm just asking him if he formed an understanding, and he can state the basis for that if he did.
If you want to lay a foundation.
Did you, to your knowledge, was Ms. Heard present in the apartment at the time?
Objection leading.
Yes.
I'll allow
I could
it.
hear her. I never seen her physically, but I could hear her voice. Yes.
Okay.
And where did her, could you tell where her voice was coming from?
Upstairs, just upstairs.
Okay.
She wasn't on the lower apartment with us, so I can only imagine she was upstairs.
Other than the cigarette lighter and the soda can, anything else similar to that you observed?
No, I can't say no.
Did you ever observe any physical injuries on Miss Heard?
Never, no.
How about on Mr. Depp?
Yeah, yes. It started off with maybe a scratch once in a while, a swelling, but it got more. It got more. Yeah, I'm not talking. He was marked every week or every 2 weeks, but yeah, he sustained marks. Yeah, definitely. He was getting marked.
And can you describe for us what you can remember?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we
the present
can we
service.
approach
Okay,
for a minute?
all right. Hold on, Mr. Connelly, for a minute.
So, Mr. Connelly, you can continue responding. I think the question was just, can you generally describe for us what you remember about the marks you saw on Mr. Depp?
Yes, as I was saying, in the prison service, you're taught to pick up, log in your mind, mental logging in your mind, marks, bruises, bully patterns, stuff. What I noticed right away was most of these marks and most of these things through my training is happening in the left-hand side of his face, and it would be scratches on his neck, maybe a fat lip in the corner, maybe a bruising on the eye socket. Dull impacts, except for obviously the scratches, maybe on his left ear. Sometimes it'd be two marks, 2 lines, 2 trams, 1. Yeah, yeah. And it was getting more regular. As I say, not every week, but it was definitely happening. Yeah.
Can we see Plaintiff's Exhibit 162, please? And Mr. Connelly, are you able to see the picture on? I assume you can see it on your screen.
Yeah, just can I send it, please? Yeah, hi, yeah.
And do you?
That is, yeah, I know that picture. I took that picture.
You
that
took the
picture's on the orbit. Yeah, I took the picture.
Can you just quickly tell us what this picture is?
This picture is Miss Heard and Johnny's honeymoon on the Orient Express on the East Line from Bangkok to Singapore. You travel through Malaysia, stopping at Kuala Lumpur and a few other places on the way down. And that is in the dining coach, I think. Yeah, dining coach, that's what that is. The guy on the left there with the silver band around he's the waiter. He's the waiter with the detail to look after us. The guy in the bow tie, he's guest relations manager.
Mr. Connelly, just hold on one second. Before we continue describing the document, I'd move for the admission of Plaintiff's Trial Exhibit 162 and that it be published to the jury.
Any objection?
I'd like to approach it.
Okay. You can publish it.
All right, and Mr. Connelly, I apologize for cutting you off, but could you just continue to describe for us what we're looking at in this picture?
Yeah, as I said, the guy in the bow tie, he's guest relations manager. He was detailed to, fix us up anything we needed, to excursions and transports and stuff. Then it's Miss Heard. The guy, that's the chef who looked after he cooked for us. He's a great chef, by the way. Yeah, he looked after us. And that's Johnny. And I also noticed, if you look at that picture, like I said, on the left-hand side, under his eye, there's a swelling. And you see a swelling just on the left-hand side of his nose and under his left eye.
And what do you interpret that swelling to be?
What do I interpret it as? That's either he's walked into a door or a door's walked into him.
Okay. Can you tell us anything, and we can take this down, I think. Thank you. Mr. Connelly, can you tell us, well, first of all, do you recall what year Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard went on their honeymoon in the picture we were just looking at?
That would, I don't know, is it 2013? 2013?
Okay, and were you, well, you testified that you took the picture, so you were there, I assume?
Absolutely, yes.
What can you tell us about that trip generally, and particularly focused on how Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were interacting with each other?
Started off good. Johnny's cabin was maybe 15 meters down the corridor from mine. There was no cabins in between. There was like storerooms, like blankets and cutlery and stuff. So the cabin was quite not a big massive distance, but it wasn't like the trip started fine, absolutely fine. I think it was 5 days maybe. 2 days, 3 days into the trip, I can see Johnny going down. I can see him coming down. He's just not enjoying this. He's not enjoying this. But I can't. It's not my business to step in and that. I just do my job, but I can see he's not enjoying this. He's not happy. He's not happy.
Did you ever observe any arguments between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard in this time frame?
Just not arguments, but some frostiness. Miss Heard sort of demanded that we have our own dining cart, if you like. So me doing my job, I inquire to the guest relations guy there that you've seen in the photograph, and he quite rightly tells me that there's other
Objection
VIPs
hearsay.
in
Objection
Okay.
hearsay.
All right. Objection to hearsay. All right.
I think we can move on.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
sustain the objection. Next question.
All right, so Mr. Connelly, Well, taking a step back for a minute and changing topics slightly, have you ever seen Mr. Depp use any drugs? I don't think
I've
that's...
seen-
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Yes, I've seen him smoke marijuana. I had my suspicions. I have my suspicions that when he goes off to the bathroom, he probably does a bit of cocaine. I've never seen him do it. As Mr. Depp would never do a line or anything of cocaine in front of me, or Jerry Judge, or Sean Bett, or anybody. Johnny Depp would never compromise my license, my position, and embarrass me like that. It wouldn't happen. So, to answer to your question, I've seen him smoke weed, yes.
You noticed any particular... What changes, if any, have you noticed in his behavior when he's under the influence of marijuana?
To be honest, a bit more relaxed, no sort of uptight. But he's not out of his head. He's perfectly functioning. I mean, you can talk about anything, any conversation you want to talk about. He's neither up nor down with that, you know. He really isn't. He's got a very high tolerance for any substance, Johnny. You know, I would say so. You know, I think Jack Sparrow's more drunk than Johnny Depp, to be honest.
So okay, so that's marijuana. What about alcohol? Same question.
He used to like a wine, and the last I would say the last couple of years that's dropped drastically as well. It's in my last year with Johnny, it's quite actually rare now. It's not rare, but he's not a big boozer now. He's not a boozer now, you know. He's not, and he was never out his head in wine. He was never, you know. I think I've seen drunk in the 20 odd years I've been with Johnny. I think I've seen him drunk twice. And but when I say drunk, I mean drunk. Other than that, there's not a lot of difference in Johnny's demeanour or behaviour. Well, you're drinking alcohol or smoking weed, you know.
Okay, and finally, same question for the time periods when you formed the suspicion that he was under the influence of cocaine.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry, could you ask me that again?
What changes in his behavior, if any, did you observe on those occasions when you suspected but didn't know for sure that he was under the influence of cocaine?
Well, again, due to the training I had in you know, the HMP prison service, it just seemed a bit more, I don't know, happier, up, not so down, you know. But I wouldn't say he's not leaping around kicking his heels or anything. He pick his guitar up and then he gets right into his guitar, and there's no major changes really. You know, he's fine. You know.
Okay. Now you mentioned you traveled with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard on their honeymoon on the Orient Express. Where else have you traveled with them?
Well, all over the world, Japan, China, Germany. I've been all over the States. Went to an interesting little place, Hicksville. That's an interesting story. Yeah, all over the world. Australia. Went to Australia. As far away as that.
And let's take that one at a time. Hicksville, you said?
Yeah, Hicksville. Yeah, it's a funky. I remember Hicksville because it was a funky. It's a real funky place, you know. With Amber and Johnny, they've decided they're going to go to Hicksville for you know, a day and a night, I think it was. So we all off the trot. Amber and her friends all head off, and well, Amber travelled with Johnny, but her friends all head off. I followed. Johnny wanted to drive his own. He got a beautiful big customised Plymouth. I think it's a 58 or 50. I don't, not an expert, but he had customised to want to drive this car. Myself and his assistant at the time, Nathan Holmes, we use another of Johnny's cars, and we follow behind. We get to Joshua Tree, Hicksville. Stunning as you can imagine, but it's done in a very funky theme. All the caravans are different themes. You know, like mine was an old railway caboose with the old fairground fortune teller head that comes around and stuff, all that kind of stuff. Johnny's and Amber's caravan were maybe about 15 meters from mine, maybe 20 meters, and that was done in like the 1950s styles, you know, like kitschy 1950s kind of thing. And the rest of the caravans were all, you know, like zombies coming out the ground, and it was craziness. Anyway, we go there. There's a lot of booze. All the booze comes up. Party starts. Well, sort of sitting around in the sun, messing around. Party starts. So there's loads of booze and weed, and I think mushrooms, some psychedelic mushrooms, or whatever, that's going around. But the night gets a bit ruined as I'm watching exactly what's all happening. Everybody's happy, you know, Johnny, Amber, everybody's happy. As I'm watching what's happening, I can see Johnny and Amber getting a bit animated. And they were probably about maybe 25 feet from me. So I approach, and I've been working with Johnny that long. I don't have to really say anything. I only have to look at his face. And Johnny can talk to me through his face. He doesn't need to say a word. So I know what's happening. So, like, and I say in a low voice, guys, let's keep this private. Let's start walking towards the caravan. Let's, take this away from here. As I'm walking ahead, going ahead, I can hear sort of, bickering behind me. Johnny's trying to talk in his, low tone, keep things a bit quiet. But Amber's getting a bit more loud, a bit more narky, So anyway, I get them to the caravan, I put them inside, and I go to my caravan. That's it. Don't hear anything, don't see anything until the next morning. We sit around the pool, a couple of hours, and we head back to LA.
What prompted you to...
Mr. Moniz, do you have a lot of direct still left in this matter?
Not terribly much more, maybe 10 to 15 minutes.
We're going to take our afternoon break then. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take your 15-minute afternoon break, and then we'll come back and continue with the testimony, okay? Don't do any outside research and don't talk to anybody. All right, Mr. Connelly, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
All right. Can you just count to 5 for me, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect, thank you. All right, next question.
All right, Mr. Connelly, we were talking about Hicksville there, and you made a comment that you had suggested to Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard that they keep it private or something along those lines.
I did, yes.
My question is just what prompted you to make that suggestion?
Well, it was getting kind of animated. It was getting animated, and no one wants to see their either dirty laundry in public.
Were they both animated?
More so Amber. Johnny, yes, but more so Amber.
Okay. Do you remember anything in particular that Ms. Heard was saying at the time?
I don't recall, no. As I say, it wasn't really coherent. It was more the animation, the head movements and the stern looks and stuff that prompted me to do what I have to do,
Okay. Shifting gears a little bit. You listed out various places that you traveled with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, and I think you listed Japan, Germany, Hicksville, and Australia. Do I have that right?
Correct, yes.
When were you in Australia?
That'll be 2015, Pirates 5.
And what were you doing in Australia?
My job. In that occasion, I flew out first. I usually fly out first to do the advance. The advance includes the check-in of accommodation. Not so much accommodation because Nathan Holmes, Ben King, and a chef called Russell, they would already been at the home, and got that sorted out. My main concern was locations, transport, local security, drivers, making sure all that's in line before Johnny gets there. Jerry Judge would have travelled with Johnny into Australia. On arrival, I would have picked him up at the airport, as we do, take him to the house, or whatever accommodation we're staying in, and I would have peeled off. I'd have left it at that, went back to my apartment. Johnny would have been in, maybe it could be up to a week for makeup, costume before any shooting starts, in which time it gives me a time to run around some locations, the studio, check out the studio, the locations, as well as be around for, if Johnny wants to go for dinner at night anywhere, I would check out these places as well.
Mr. Connelly, I'm sorry, I just had a little trouble hearing you there. Might be the connection, but could you speak maybe just a little bit slower? I'm sorry.
Okay, as I say, my job in Australia is just to secure all the advance. So I would check out, make sure the local drivers are there, all the cars are in order, the accommodations in order, the locations for shooting are all safe, liaison with production, what's expected of him. I would pick him up at the airport when he arrives, take him to the accommodation, peel off, go and check out a few restaurants in case he wants to go out. And if nothing's happening, stand down for that evening.
Does anything stand out to you about your time in Australia in 2015?
Yeah, Johnny lost a finger. Yeah, one afternoon I was instructed to go to Johnny's accommodation.
Objection, and can we just approach
Okay,
from the-
all right.
Thanks.
Hold on just a minute, Mr. Connelly.
All right, Mr. Connelly, please continue, but as you go, please avoid discussing the substance of any communications that you had with Mr. Depp or his security, and just focus on what you observed.
Okay. I arrive at Johnny's accommodation with my driver, Andrew. I noticed that there's an SUV, one of the security, the RST, resident security team. One of their vehicles is sitting outside the door with no driver. So I just assumed there's something up. There's a security car there, but no driver. There's something up. There's a security car there, but no driver. As I approach the door, I hear a muffled shouting and screaming, and quite muffled though, because the entrance to this house, there's a massive oak door. I mean, it's huge, and it's got to be about 25 mil thick. So I open it, and it's chaos. It's screaming and shouting, but all I can see with my eyes is Johnny. He's wearing a jacket, a hat, and a bag with his notebooks. I always know that bag because it's a grey canvas bag. And he's sort of, nursing one hand. So I'm saying, well, hey, what's going on? And it's screaming and shouting. It's madness. Amber's irate. I mean, tenacious. It's crazy stuff. Johnny's, shouting back. So I've said, Johnny, let's go. Let's get out, that's my job, to remove him from a situation. Let's get out. I do a couple of steps with him. Johnny, give me 5 minutes, Mal. 5 minutes. Well, he's the boss, There's no bullets flying. So, okay, give him 2 minutes. I said, let's go. Eventually, I get him out. I managed to get him outside the door. We go downstairs. But Amber appears from somewhere. Now, I don't know if Amber was upstairs or in the room to the left or wherever. But she appears and she's screaming. Berating him. She's basically berating him. Like, yeah, fuck off, she's saying, Johnny. Yeah, that's what you do. Fuck off. That's what you do all the time. That's all you ever do is fuck off. You fuck off with your guys, you fucking coward. That's what you fucking do. You fucking coward. Yeah, fuck off with your guys, you big man. All that shit that goes with it. Gets him downstairs. By this time, Amber's on the threshold of the accommodation. And she's screaming, fuck off, you fucking coward. That kind of words, And I get him into the car, and I want to sit in the same. I usually sit in the front seat shotgun, but I want to sit in the same seat at the back, so I can have a look what's going on here and have a chat and have a talk. But when I get around the car, the driver's not locked the door, so he's out the door again, and he's making his way back up the stairs. I get back round again. By the time I get to the top, there's two concrete stairs to the front door. He's just crossing the threshold, and the screaming starting again. Excuse me. Amber is screaming again. Johnny, let's go. And this time it's a wee bit more force, and I managed to actually basically pull him out of the place. Get him into the car. Doors are locked this time. Into the car, we take off. I got him back to my apartment using, a sort of secret way through the underground car park and service lifts. I get him up to my apartment. Get him into my apartment. Start washing his hand, basic triaging his hand, washing it, first aid. It's a mess. His finger's just a mess. It's like one of them cartoon exploding cigars. I always think in my mind that one of them cigars that blow up. The cartoons, boom, and it's so flapping around, and I can see bone. There's bone there. It's smashed to bits, and he's wincing as I'm trying to wash his hand. Anyway, I sit him down and I phoned Debbie the nurse, who's living in the same apartment block as me. So that's my first thing. Phone Debbie. About 20 minutes later, if that, I don't recall. Maybe 25, maybe half an hour. But she turns up with Dr. Kipper. So Dr. Kipper does his thing. Nurse Debbie dresses it all, but Kipper is saying, right, this we have to go to the hospital with this. There's no other way. We have to go to the hospital. This has to be seriously looked at. We get to the hospital, and that's when that's when his treatment started.
Okay. When you were in the presence of Mr. Depp and Miss Heard in the house in Australia, how far away were you from Miss Heard?
When I first entered the house, Miss Heard wasn't visible to me. Only Johnny. It's only when we started to leave, Miss Heard appeared. And she's probably, you're talking 2 feet, 3 feet.
Did you observe any injuries on Miss Heard?
No injuries. No injuries.
I'll allow it.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
No injuries, none.
Other than the injury to his finger, did you observe any injuries on Mr. Depp?
No, no, no. Well, I say no. You know, there was a mark in his face, and I didn't know what that was, so I never really put it down too much. But in the hospital, I took a photograph, and when I look at that photograph, I can see 2 injuries. When we're sitting in the car,
hold on, Mr. Connelly.
Okay. Objection to the extent he's going to be talking about what the mark is on his, since he didn't see what happened and he's not a doctor, he can't describe what.
All right.
That's fine, Your Honor. We
Are you going to move on? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
I think you've generally described for us the kinds of things Ms. Heard was saying. How would you describe her overall demeanor when she and Mr. Depp were in each other's presence in the house in Australia?
Good days and bad days.
I'm sorry, I mean on that particular day.
On that particular day, I had never seen him in the house on that particular day. The only time I seen Miss Heard and Johnny in that house is when I arrived there to extract them.
And how did Miss Heard seem to you when you saw her on that day when you arrived to extract him?
Crazy. 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 Fierce, you know, fierce.
Okay. What was the last thing Miss Heard said as you were taking Mr. Depp out of the house to go to your apartment and then the hospital?
Yeah, the last words I recall hearing as I'm getting Johnny out is, yeah, just fuck off with your guys, you fucking coward like you always do.
All right. I have no further questions.
All right, cross-examination. Mr. Nadelhoff?
Mr. Connelly, you still work for Mr. Depp?
I do, yeah.
Okay. And you've worked for him now for about 18 years?
No.
Well, 2 years ago, you said you worked for him for 16 years, so 2 more years would be 18.
No,
now.
I worked with him. I didn't work for him. I worked for a guy called Jerry Judge in Music and Arts. Johnny Depp never paid me. Johnny Depp started paying me 2 years ago.
Okay, so now you're being, so you were working, Jerry Judge was your boss until he passed away, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and
Correct.
now you get paid directly by Mr. Depp, correct?
Correct.
And you're paid a salary by Mr. Depp?
No.
Okay. And Mr. Depp's also provided you gifts, correct?
Gifts?
Gifts. Money,
Yes.
gifts. And,
No. Yes, Johnny's gave me gifts. I've gave Johnny gifts.
and he's given you gifts over $8,500, correct?
$8,500.
Yeah.
He gave me a lot more than that.
Okay. And you're loyal to Mr. Depp, right?
Yes, of course I'm loyal to Mr. Depp. I'd be loyal to you if I was working for you.
Okay. Now, going to Australia, you said you went to Australia in 2015 with Mr. Depp, correct? Or you went before Mr. Depp, but you were there to work for Mr. Depp, correct?
Correct.
And Jerry Judge was also there?
Not when I arrived, no.
But Jerry Judge was eventually in Australia, correct?
Correct.
And Nathan Holmes was also in Australia as well, right?
Correct.
And Mr. Depp came to Australia in February of 2015, correct?
Correct.
And when Mr. Depp first came to Australia, Amber was not with Mr. Depp, right?
I don't recall. I don't recall if Amber arrived with Johnny or Amber arrived later.
You don't know one way or the other?
No.
And Mr. Depp stayed in a house in Australia, correct?
Correct.
And you and the security team were about 40 minutes away from the house Mr. Depp was renting, correct?
25, 30. 30, 40. Yeah, you're correct. If it's a traffic day, yeah, 40 minutes at most.
And alcohol was in the house in Australia, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Mr. Depp consumed alcohol before Amber arrived in Australia, isn't that right?
Yeah, he would have done, yes.
Okay. And you know if Mr. Depp consumed illegal drugs before Amber arrived in Australia?
I'm going to object to
I wouldn't know.
speculation.
I wouldn't know.
Overruled, I'll allow it. Go ahead.
And do you know if Mr. Depp spent any time with Marilyn Manson in Australia before Amber arrived?
Don't recall. I don't recall Marilyn Manson being there.
So you don't. So as Mr. Depp's security, you don't know if Mr. Depp was with Marilyn Manson at any time?
I left Australia to smuggle 2 dogs back out of Australia back to.
No. I'm talking about it. I'm talking about in the beginning of March 2015. You were that. You were.
Marilyn Manson.
You don't know one way or the other.
No.
Were you seeing Mr. Depp every day? In early
Not
March
at the beginning,
2015.
No, not at the beginning. I had other duties.
Okay. So you don't know what Mr. Depp was doing at that time, correct?
No, I wasn't with him.
Okay. And you don't know when Amber arrived in Australia, correct?
No.
Okay. But you do know that Amber stayed with Mr. Depp, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about a resident security team that was at the Australia house, is that right?
That's correct.
And were there about 4? Was there anyone from the resident security team in the house when you arrived on March 8th, 2015?
No.
Okay. And the resident security team, is it your understanding that they were there, that they were kind of guarding the house?
They would have been in the grounds, but the substantial grounds, real substantial grounds. They would have been at the grounds somewhere.
But they didn't go into the house on March 8th, correct?
I don't know. I never seen them in the house.
Okay. And so when you arrived at the house and went in, was it just Mr. Depp and Amber Heard?
Just Mr. Depp and Amber Heard.
Okay. And
There
before
may have been someone else there. I never visibly seen anyone else. I wasn't there long enough to chat to anybody.
and when you arrived at the house, you could hear a ruckus, correct?
Yes. Well, yes, I could hear. No, yeah, I could hear. Definitely hear something through the door. Yeah.
But you said the door was so thick you couldn't hear the actual words that were being said. Is that right?
No, just a shouting.
And then you went in the house and saw Mr. Depp in the foyer, correct?
Yes, correct.
And Mr. Depp was trying to urinate in the foyer, wasn't he?
No.
Mr. Depp had his penis out of his
Objection.
pants, didn't he?
I think I would remember
Relevance.
seeing Mr. Depp's penis.
I'll allow it. Next question.
And you were trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house, correct?
Correct. I was trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house. Yes.
And Mr. Depp was refusing to leave the house, was he not?
Not so much refused. He just wanted 2 minutes to say his piece.
You took Mr. Depp's arm to try to move him out, but he broke away, isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, so he was strong enough to break away from your grip, correct?
No.
So you had his arm and he broke away, though, correct?
No.
Isn't that what you just said?
No. I let him go.
You let go. But it wasn't
He's my
easy.
boss.
It wasn't
I'm not
easy.
going to drag him by it.
So Mr. Depp's your boss. You'll do what Mr. Depp wants, correct?
No.
It's not easy to get Mr. Depp out of the house, correct?
It's not easy.
Okay. Now, can we play Exhibit 380A, which is already in evidence?
Plaintiffs or defendants, I'm sorry.
It's defendants, Exhibit 380A.
It's 388.
What is this? Sorry, what is this?
And this is a recording from Australia, and it's just of Mr. Depp.
I don't think that's in evidence, Your Honor.
Hold on, it's not in evidence.
Our plaintiffs, Exhibit 380A?
I don't believe there are any recordings from Australia in evidence, Your Honor.
I don't have anything in
this,
evidence.
There definitely is. It's just of Mr. Depp. We can.
I don't have 380 in evidence.
It's 380A.
380. I have, Jamie says it was ID'd but never admitted.
It was never admitted. It was.
Your Honor, the recordings from Australia have other voices on them. And
We're only
I
asking
also-
for it's only the clip of Mr. Depp.
Okay, wait,
Well,
I
I
have it. It's actually plaintiffs 380A, minute 33 to 34.
What's the foundation for using it with this witness?
He was at the house.
It's in evidence,
It's in
that's
evidence.
fine. So you're playing that clip, correct?
Correct.
That is on plaintiffs.
Did you hear that, Mr. Connelly?
I did, yes.
And that was the sort of condition Mr. Depp was in when you saw him at the house, correct?
Yes, yes,
Mr. Depp was upset and angry when you saw him at the house, correct?
absolutely, yes.
Okay. Now, did you take Mr. Depp to the hospital?
Along with others, yes.
Is it your testimony that Mr. Depp was coherent at the hospital?
Yes.
Let's show Defendant's Exhibit 370, and I'd just like you to look at something for a moment. I'm not putting it in, I'm not publishing it, I just want to show him a document. Defendant's Exhibit 370.
Your Honor, I'm going to object on foundation grounds. The witness is not even copied on this document.
I'm going to ask him a question and ask him if it refreshes his recollection. That's all I was going to ask him about. I can use any document to refresh.
Wait, if you want to approach for a second, we'll just see what we're... You can take the document down. Switch document.
You can take it down. Was Mr. Depp's finger was filled with dirt, grime, and paint when you saw it?
Yes.
And now, you say you saw no bruises or cuts on Amber on March 8th, 2015, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it true that your main concern was Mr. Depp and getting him out of the house, correct?
Correct.
You weren't concentrating on Amber, correct?
I was close enough. If there was any marks on Amber's face, I would have picked that up in 2 minutes.
As you're
I've been chained to the Home Office.
As you're trying to pull Mr. Depp out of the house, you're scanning Amber for bruises and cuts?
Not scanning, but I'm looking at it.
As you're moving Mr. Depp out of the house, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. How do I know what she's going to lift?
Right.
I'm watching her. When I move a client from a bar situation, a house situation, I watch what's happening around me.
But you're not.
I know where the client is. The client's with me.
Right. The client was with you, and you're not scanning. You didn't scan Miss Heard's body for.
I scan everything.
You scanned everything on her body?
Not everything on her body.
No.
She's wearing long sleeves, from what I recall.
Okay. And at the hospital, the doctor was told that Mr. Depp cut his finger with a knife, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And you understand that the damage at the house, at Mr. Depp's rented house, amounted to about $100,000, correct?
Objection
Well,
calls for speculation.
I'll allow it. That's fine. Next question.
In Hicksville, other than when you first arrived, you didn't go to the trailer that Mr. Depp and Amber were staying in, is that right?
Only when I delivered them to it.
Right. And then after you delivered them to
When I delivered them to it, when we first got there,
Right.
we went inside and had a look around. Yeah.
But after that, you never went inside the trailer after that, correct?
Correct.
So you have no idea what went on in the trailer between Mr. Depp and Amber, isn't that right?
I was told.
But you have no idea, you don't have any personal knowledge as to what
I never
happened.
seen it.
Right.
No, I never seen it. No.
And you have no idea how much damage was done to the trailer, correct? Personal
I
knowledge.
do have
of
an
the damage.
idea.
You have no idea what happened to Amber in the trailer, isn't that right?
That's correct.
And you don't, and you talked about that there was tension between Amber and Mr. Depp. You don't know what started the fight, correct?
Correct.
Did you see Mr. Depp grab another woman's arm? before they moved off to the truck, before the fight started?
No.
Okay. Were you with the company when you were you with the group?
No.
Okay.
I was maybe 20 feet away observing. That's my job, not to get involved. I don't sit with my clients in a personal situation. I just observe.
Now, you testified that at times you saw marks and bruises on Mr. Depp, a fat lip, I think you said. You don't have dates for those times that you saw that, right?
I don't recall. No, you're
Okay.
talking. That's a long time ago. You know, it's
Right. And you testified in the UK in this. You testified in the UK, correct?
correct.
And you gave a witness statement too in the UK, correct?
Correct.
And you never testified to seeing any marks, bruises, or injuries on Mr. Depp, isn't that right? In the UK,
I wasn't asked in the UK.
but you never testified. You never testified to that, right?
I wasn't asked.
Okay. Now, you talked about a private plane that you saw a plastic lighter bounce off of Mr. Depp's chest, correct?
Correct.
And you said you saw Mr. Depp smirking and then he said, "Was that it?" Is that right?
No.
Okay. You don't know what started the fight there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you talked about at the lofts, I think you called it, in Los Angeles, you saw a Coke can get thrown somewhere in the vicinity of Mr. Depp, correct?
I've seen a can,
Right.
not a Coke can. I couldn't tell you what can it was.
Okay. And you don't know what happened before you saw the Coke can get thrown, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you talked about this picture of that you took in Southeast Asia, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you never mentioned in the UK matter or in your witness statement Mr. Depp having scratches and bruises on the train, correct?
I was never prompted. I was never asked.
You gave a witness statement that gave the what you saw and the relationship between Amber and Mr. Depp, and you never talked about bruises or cuts on Mr. Depp in Southeast Asia, correct?
No, I wasn't asked that.
Okay. Now, you said only Johnny could make requests for a private dining car, isn't that right?
I said that.
Only Johnny needed a private dining car. Miss Heard didn't need a private dining car, correct?
That would be correct. Oh yeah, that would definitely be correct. Yeah,
Okay.
only Johnny Depp would need a private dining car, but Johnny doesn't want a private dining car.
Okay. Now, you were not present in Miss Heard and Mr. Depp's cabin on the train, right?
No.
And if a fight occurred,
That's correct.
and if a fight occurred in the cabin, you'd have no way of knowing about it, right?
I wouldn't know.
And you don't know if Mr. Depp was strangling Miss Heard, do you?
No, I wouldn't know.
You don't know if Mr. Depp had his shirt wrapped around Amber's neck, do you?
Objection, speculation, cumulative.
Oh, no, I wouldn't know. The only reason I would know anything in that cabin.
No, okay,
is if
you
the
wouldn't know.
cabin door was
You
open or
answered,
closed.
sir, you answered that.
All right. We can move on.
Okay. And if we could put up, please, Plaintiff's Exhibit 120, and this is at 190, and I believe 120 has been in evidence before.
Well, I have 120A, 120B, and 120C.
So I think this would be 120D, if it,
120D?
yeah.
Okay. D.
And I would, Mr. Connelly, I'm asking you questions about the fourth one down. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's not very clear though. I can't.
I'm going
It's tiny.
objection. The document is hearsay. I don't know what the exception would be.
Okay, hold. If you want to come forward, let's.
Mr. Connelly, you agree that Ms. Heard's been nothing but respectful and professional to you, correct?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
All right, redirect.
Mr. Connelly, very briefly, when you were in Ms. Heard's presence in the house in Australia on the day that Mr. Depp lost his fingertip, how far away were you from Ms. Heard?
On the exit, on the egress, about 3 feet, 4 feet at the most.
Can you estimate for us about how long you were in Ms. Heard's presence?
Oh, you know what? Best way to do this is think about it and count it out, okay? "15 seconds, 20 seconds.
How was the light?
Well, it's Australia. The door is massive. It's a wall of glass behind them. The light is absolutely fine. You couldn't get better.
All right, I have nothing further.
All right, is this a witness subject to recall?
I think so, yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Connelly, since you're subject to recall, did not discuss your testimony with anybody and don't watch anything about this case, okay? But you're free to log off today.
Of course, Your Honor, yeah.
All right, you're free to log off today, though,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, your next witness.